big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me big poppin'. Money in the bank coming, dropping a deposit. Having it my way, so I got these bitches watching. Steady getting to it, couldn't fit it in my pocket. Flexing everything, baby, tell me what the topic.
What's poppin', everybody? It's your favorite doc tender, that girl Henny, and I am about to pop the cork and pour up on Maurene Comey being fired. They done fired her, y'all. Child. But what I'm looking at the most, though, is I'm looking at the fact that a lot of people have lost their ever-loving minds. Do you hear me? They are out here in these internet streets dancing and singing praises and doing a jig and all of that, okay? Because they think that Maurene Comey got fired because of Diddy. That is so wrong. Baby, if you came here for that type of Henny, then you about to have your socks blown off and your Henny about to be poured extra strong, okay? Because, or should I say strong? Because this goes back, and this has deep political ties, and it has a lot to do with what has been going on and what I have been talking about a little bit here and there with the Epstein and the Ghislaine and all of that stuff. Y'all, listen. Right now, the question is, why did the U.S. government just fire one of its top prosecutors? That's the question on everybody's mind, right? And not only is she a top prosecutor, Maurene Comey was a woman who didn't just work behind the scenes, but she actually helped take down one of the most powerful people in modern criminal history. She prosecuted Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, Ghislaine Maxwell. Dun, dun, dun. So as you can see, she did more than just lead the federal conviction of Sean Diddy Combs, or Puffy, as you like to say, okay? And what a lot of people don't remember is her father, James Comey, was the former FBI director who went head-to-head with Donald Trump and became one of the most controversial men in Washington. But a lot of people don't remember that. So I'm going to walk y'all through the full backstory of how Trump's feud with the Comey family, how it started, okay? And why this quiet firing just happened and how it could flip the script on Diddy's sentencing and Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. That's right. You heard me. Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal. All right. She has put in an appeal a while ago last year about trying to get herself out because she felt like she was named in a non-prosecution agreement. And so she thought, that she had some form of immunity because there were some co-conspirators named in that immunity deal. But Ghislaine ain't one of them. But before we get into all of that, because baby, we're going to be here for a while, because let me tell you something. I am fighting the YouTube algorithm because I got to get out of those vertical lives. So I'm just going to have to deal with what I deal with and get what I get with this thing being up right here. All right. So now, in order for us to really understand everything that's happening right now, we're going to go back almost a decade. But before we do, I want to take some time to just shout out everybody that is in the chat. Hey, Miss Pammy. Hey, Miss Teddy B. Hey, Crash Out Report. Hey, Miss Stephanie. Hey, Nikki. Hey, Jessica. Hey, Lady T on the Square Biz. Hey, Evelyn Halle. What's poppin', Coley? Evelyn, happy 17-month anniversary to you. Hey, Selena, what's going on? Yes, the song is still fire. It's still a vibe. I love it. I love it. Shout out to Toot Jones. Hey, Vanessa, what's going on? Hey, Talia. Who else did hey? Uniquely. What's poppin', Boo? Hootie-hoo. All right. That's it. All right. So let's get into all of this. All right. So now, James Comey, who was Maurene Comey's father, he wasn't always a political lightning rod. He started out as a respected U.S. attorney and ended up being appointed FBI director by President Barack Obama in 2013. Yes, we are going here. We are here right now. We are here. Okay. But his name exploded into the headlines during the 2016 election because that's when he took heat for investigating Hillary Clinton's use of private email servers while she was Secretary of State. Y'all remember that? I know y'all remember that. Y'all remember that. So in July of 2016, James Comey publicly stated that while Hillary was being careless, that she wouldn't be charged, right? And then, just 11 days before the election, he reopened the investigation after more emails were found. Okay. Now, the Democrats, they were outraged, but the Republicans, of course, they were praising him, right? At least for that moment. Donald Trump even complimented him, saying that he had guts for reopening that investigation against Hillary. But we already know the history between Hillary and Trump. Anyway, but the support from Trump with James Comey, that quickly soured, okay? Because when Trump took office in 2017, he decided to keep James Comey on as the FBI director initially. But Trump wanted loyalty, and Comey wasn't given that. Like, he could not be bought, all right? And so reports later revealed that Trump asked Comey to drop the investigation into Michael Flynn, and Comey refused to do it. All right. And so he documented interactions, and he kept pressing forward with the investigation into Russia's probe, possible interference with the election. Because I don't know if y'all remember all of this stuff, but if you don't remember all of this stuff, this is all stuff that was going down. And I don't know how you missed it, because, baby, when Trump was in office, it was a show. It was a show. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry, Uniquely. I left you up there on the screen. Hey, Shauna D. Uniquely said that James Comey show on Showtime was good. I'm gonna have to go check that out. But when Trump was ruling the world with Twitter fingers, this was all the stuff that was going on. So if you missed it or you don't remember it, baby, you're gonna have to go look it up, because tonight we got a lot that we getting ready to get into. So get comfy. All right. Now, a few months later, after the investigation into Russia and saying he wasn't going to drop the investigation into Michael Flynn, James Comey was fired. Trump said, "You're fired." He didn't want him in there no more, because he wouldn't bend. And Trump admitted in a TV interview that the Russia investigation played a role in his decision to fire him. And that comment triggered the appointment of special counsel Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller. Get it out, girl. So what followed after that was a 2-year probe, a media circus, and a permanent fracture between Trump and the man who is now reviewed as disloyal, James Comey. All right. So from that point forward, Trump went to war with the Comey name, and he insulted James Comey publicly in tweets. And he consistently kept tweeting about him. He even hinted that he should be prosecuted. And he made James Comey his personal villain. And now here we are, ladies and gentlemen, all these years later, and we're seeing that grudge come full circle, because while James Comey was being dragged through the mud on Twitter and on cable news, his daughter, Maurene Comey, was making a name for herself in the United States Attorney's Office in the Southern District of New York. So as Trump was taking her father down, she was on the rise, and she wasn't riding her dad's legacy, you guys. She was building a name for herself. Okay. She was handling serious high risk cases, and their cases most prosecutors wouldn't even touch. All right. They didn't, whatever they was like, we not touching that. And she was like, I will. And the two biggest names on her resume are Ghislaine Maxwell and Sean Diddy Combs at this moment, but she's taken down a lot of people. All right. So now that we're bringing in Ghislaine Maxwell, I already told y'all just a little bit ago that Ghislaine Maxwell, hey, positive vibes, Ghislaine Maxwell is seeking an appeal from the Supreme Court. Now, this is not Congress. Congress and the Supreme Court are two different things, okay? But she's seeking to appeal her case. So with how does this affect, like, what does this have to do with anything? Like I just said, Maurene Comey was part of the elite team that built the case against Ghislaine after Jeffrey Epstein was self-deleted. in federal custody. And she helped prepare like the key witnesses and organized evidence, and argued that Ghislaine played a central role in Epstein's trafficking ring, which she did. Because I mean, a lot of those victims, listen, it's like 1,000 victims, okay? And that came from the pyramid scheme type of operation that he was running. Child, we gonna get into that too. I don't know if I'm gonna give y'all a live about it or a video about it, because I have to reintroduce these lives and videos into my YouTube algorithm. So I don't know which one I'm gonna do, but I'll figure it out and I'll get back to y'all and let y'all know which way we're gonna do it. But a lot of those victims, they named her as being the madam, so to speak, because she would recruit girls and women from spas to give Jeffrey Epstein massages. So anyway, when it comes down to that, you know, we know what happened. Ghislaine was found guilty and sentenced to 20 years in prison. But now let's fast forward, because in 2025, Maurene Comey is once again front and center. And this time it's prosecuting Sean Diddy Combs. And she brought, you know, the RICO charges and the trafficking charges and the Mann Act. And he was charged with 2 counts of the Mann Act for Cassie and Jane. And we know that they both of those charges involve claims that Diddy was transporting the women across state lines for unlawful sexual activity, and the jury found him guilty on those 2 counts. And Maurene, she wasn't letting up. She was preparing a sentencing memo and asking for more than 4 years in federal prison when it came down to Diddy, okay? She also opposed Diddy's request for bail while he was waiting sentencing, calling him a flight risk and a danger to witnesses. So, you know, I mean, this was her history. And I mean, a lot of people have named her as being fearless and saying she was strategic and she was winning. But today she is all right. And this happened actually yesterday. This didn't happen today. This happened on July 15th, and Maurene Comey was removed from her position as a federal prosecutor. There's no public explanation or information as to why. There was no internet scandal, no reported misconduct from her, and the decision came from Attorney General Pam Bondi. Oh, Pammy, not to be confused with our Miss Pammy. Now, if you don't know what's going on, Pam Bondi has been under a lot of fire and scrutiny because of what she told Fox News way back when she said that she had the Epstein list on her desk to review, and now she's trying to clean it up. And a lot of people in the White House have been saying that if you don't get rid of Bondi, I'm out of here. So it looks like she had to do something to kind of like save face and try to get her name back out there. Oh, salute to Active Chucks is in the chat. Get her name back out there, so to speak, in a good light. But what she doesn't realize is these MAGA supporters, they've already turned on you, girl. So I'm going to give y'all what I think is going on after I finish bringing y'all up to speed with everything. But as y'all know, Pam Bondi has been a longtime Trump ally, and now she's overseeing the Justice Department, okay? And she used what's called a direct executive authority. And that means that the call to terminate came from the White House. So now with everything that I just told you about James Comey, Maurene's father, and Trump's history, y'all tell me down in the chat. Y'all tell me down in the chat what y'all think. Do y'all think that she got fired just because her name is Comey? Y'all let me know, and I'm gonna keep on pouring up for y'all because I gotta get this out. All right. Now, this wasn't a routine personnel change, and it wasn't a retirement. It was quiet and it was deliberate because we're all just finding out about it today. All right. She was removed just weeks after convicting Sean Diddy Combs, and this isn't coming out of nowhere. Donald Trump has a long, well-documented history of targeting James Comey, and after firing him in 2017, Trump spent years accusing him of treason, calling him corrupt, and saying that he belonged in jail. And imagine this, the man with the tiny hand saying this about somebody else when he is all of those things. Talk about deflecting. Like, what is that? What is it called? God, I can't even think of the name of it. Projecting. You're projecting. Anyway, but that the feud obviously didn't cool off when Trump left office. And during his 2024 campaign, it became very clear because multiple insiders say that Trump made it clear that he didn't want any Comeys working inside the Justice Department that he controlled. So when Maurene Comey successfully led prosecution against two high-profile federal defendants, Diddy and Ghislaine, under Trump's DOJ, her removal, it kind of feels like less of a decision and more like a vendetta for me. Because if he don't want no Comeys working under him in DOJ, well, now how this may affect things is because Ghislaine Maxwell is currently appealing her convictions with the U.S. Supreme Court. And her arguments center around the 2007 non-prosecution agreement that Jeffrey Epstein signed with federal prosecutors in Florida. I mentioned something about that, but I didn't do a video on that. I'm going to give y'all a video on that stuff because this Epstein stuff, that rabbit hole goes deep, far, and wide. Okay, it's like a 304. Anyway, so the deal, right? This is the thing. The deal granted immunity to unnamed co-conspirators, but Ghislaine is saying that she was one of them, but she wasn't named. If y'all want me, I can show y'all who's on there. But anyway, so far, the lower courts, they've rejected her claim, okay? But her legal team is pushing forward. And Maurene Comey was one of few prosecutors in the country that had been involved in both Epstein's case and Maxwell's trial, okay? And she understood the timeline, the players, and the agreements inside and out. She knew this case like the back of her hand, so she posed a big threat. Now, for me, it's a lot of twists and turns that are going on within this case because at the end of the day, we just seen them trying to sweep the Epstein files underneath the carpet. Like they're not trying to investigate or give us any information on any of that stuff. So for them to be cleaning house would not be something that would be beneath them. Okay, it's not beneath them. All right. But, now that she's no longer there to defend the government's position, this weakens the DOJ's response and gives Ghislaine's lawyers room to argue that the case has been politically compromised. You get out of jail card and you get out of jail card and you get out of jail card and you get out of jail card. Ghislaine's team is probably going to point out the timing of the firing, and they'll point to Trump's personal grudge against her family, and they'll argue this entire prosecution was about revenge and that Maxwell's constitutional rights were violated in the process, you guys. That's what's possibly going to happen. This appeal was already a long shot, but now there's a movement. And in a Supreme Court case, that's all you need to crack the door open. Now, when it comes down to Diddy, now he's already been convicted on the two federal counts of transportation to engage, the Mann Act. And his conviction shocked the industry and federal prosecutor instead of federal president for how future Mann Act cases may be handled, like the Alexander brothers, which, by the way, I have a video for y'all coming up about that as well. But yeah. He did set a precedence, but he hasn't been sentenced yet. And until last week, Maurene Comey was the one that was preparing the sentencing recommendations for him. And according to sources that inside of the SDNY stuff, Southern District, she was pushing for real time. And we seen that for ourselves. Like she was not trying to just that's not what was happening. She no probation, no, she wanted years. Okay. But now she's gone, and whoever replaces her won't just be any prosecutor. It's almost guaranteed that this new lead will be a Trump-aligned appointee and someone who will follow the administration's messaging and priorities. And that can shift the tone of this entirety. Okay. For Diddy, this opens up several possibilities, you guys. I'm going to just keep it all the way a bean and a buck with y'all. The possibilities are endless for him. All right. The change in leadership that's about to happen, that could cause delays in his trial, in his sentencing, because the new prosecutor is going to need time to get familiar with the case. And They're going to have to review like the trial records and evaluate the original sentencing memos and decide whether to keep the same stance or go in a different direction. And that delay could buy Diddy time and a little bit of breathing room as well. But the new DOJ leadership, they could also choose to tone things down instead of pushing for harsh sentencing. And they could suggest supervised release or time served. But it wouldn't be like a pardon or anything like that. Because, yeah, no, it wouldn't be a pardon. But it would send a similar message that the administration is not prioritizing punishment in this case. And the quiet shift could reflect how Donald Trump really feels towards Diddy. Like, not worth the fight, not worth the spotlight, not worth the political cost. Like, we're going to see. But now there's another possibility, and it cuts in the opposite direction, because if Trump or the DOJ feels pressure to prove that they aren't protecting celebrities or allies, the new prosecutor, that they're protecting, Migo, if they feel pressure saying that they're protecting celebrities or allies, the new prosecutor could go harder. Okay. And they could actually increase the sentencing recommendation and argue that Diddy should serve the max. And they could reposition this case as a public show of strength and accountability within the optics. You know what I'm saying? And that would turn Diddy into a symbol and potentially lock in a longer sentence than what Maurene Comey was asking for. But we're going to have to see. So I don't know. This isn't about like leniency or delay. It's about uncertainty about the political mood, especially when it comes down to Diddy and the timing of everything. I don't know what kind of message the administration is trying to send to everybody, but the timing of all of this seems a little off to me. You know what I'm saying? Because people were asking him if he was going to give Diddy a pardon. And we know that he was at them Diddy parties. We know he was at them Diddy parties. And he was also canoodling and cahoodling with Donald Trump. With Epstein, I mean. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Y'all let me know what y'all think over here. Let me go up and scroll up and see some of y'all comments and what y'all saying. Trump don't like women being in authority, and especially her. Listen, where's the lie, though? Where is the lie? I didn't lie. I told the truth. Deep, far and wide. He's very much revengeful. Yes, Trump don't like anyone that doesn't praise him. Right? But the deal says name and unnamed co-conspirators. You're absolutely correct. It does. But she's saying that she's named. She's not named. I'm sorry, baby. You was not named in this. You wasn't even a thought in his mind when this whole thing came about. I'm actually going to pull up the non-prosecution agreement for you guys to see it. If I could freaking find it, because I got so many emails. Child, if y'all see my inbox, y'all would be like, Henny, what the hell? What the helly? What the heliante? All right. So here we go. We got the non-prosecution agreement. I'm about to pull it up on the screen so you guys can see for yourself. First of all, when we talk about this non-prosecution agreement right here, it's all kinds of shady, you guys, because how does he end up with a non-prosecution agreement and he was on a state case? Let me get y'all comments back over here so I can see what y'all saying. What you said? But Donald Trump is far more worried about Epstein. Absolutely. They are so wrapped up in erasing Epstein. He even tried suing people, firing judges. Yes. Catapult me to December of 2028. She said, I want to skip over this whole administration. I just want to see the aftermath. I don't want to. You don't want to? I don't want to neither. All right. So as you can see, this is the non-prosecution agreement that was signed in to play for Epstein. Now, let me just go right here. Now, if we zoom in just a little bit and I highlight for y'all the names. Okay. This part right here. In consideration of Epstein's agreement, can we highlight? Oh, it's not letting me highlight. Why are you doing me dirty like this? Let me highlight. Anyway, we're in this paragraph. Oh, there it is. Okay. All right. I'm going to read this. In consideration of Epstein's agreement to plead guilty and provide compensation in the manner described above, if Epstein successfully fulfills all of the terms and conditions of this agreement, the United States also agrees that it will not institute any criminal charges against any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, including but not limited to Sarah Kellen, Adriana Ross, Leslie Groff, and Nadia Mursinkova. I believe that's how it says. Further, upon execution of this agreement and plea agreement with the state's attorney's office, the federal grand jury investigation will be suspended and all pending federal grand jury subpoenas will be held. Now, this basically means that in the jurisdiction of the Southern District of Florida, because remember, he caught a state charge and then he caught the federal. The feds were investigating him. This meant that he would not be prosecuted in the Southern District of Florida. It has nothing to do with the Southern District of New York. Because I know a lot of people were asking that question, like if he has a non-prosecution agreement, then how did he end up imprisoned in New York? This is how. Because it just, district to district, it doesn't, how was it said? It wasn't a nationwide non-prosecution agreement. It was just for that district. So this is why he didn't catch his case in Florida. He caught it in New York. And while it says named and unnamed co-conspirators, where it said potential, including but not limited to any potential co-conspirators of Epstein, even though it says that, it's to my understanding that it's being said that that portion of text did not extend to Ghislaine and that this portion of text actually extended to the victims because, and I don't know how true that is or not, but the victims in the Epstein case, I guess we should kind of talk about it. So in Epstein's case, the way that this thing worked, in case you guys didn't know, is a girl would come there. She would say she didn't want to do it anymore, or she was uncomfortable, or whatever. Epstein was paying these girls to go out and get other girls and bring them to his house. And he was giving these girls anywhere from $100 to $300 per girl that was brought back to the house. So not only was Ghislaine out there, allegedly, should I say allegedly or no? Because, I mean, she was convicted, right? So is it still allegedly? I don't know. But anyway, she wasn't the only one that was out there recruiting. He had these young girls out there recruiting as well. No speaking English. So that's where this pyramid scheme came in at. And that's how it ended up spreading so vast and wide. Vast and wide. Now, how this prosecution agreement came into play is because in 2005, the Palm Beach Police Department launched an investigation into Jeffrey Epstein for soliciting underage teacup humans for sex. All right. Despite the overwhelming evidence, though, including dozens of teacup human survivors and massage room logs, Epstein struck this deal in 2007 with the United States Attorney's Office for the Southern District of Florida with Alexander Acosta, who at the time was the U.S. attorney, and he approved the non-prosecution agreement, and it was negotiated by Epstein's legal team. Okay. And it included, he had these powerful lawyers. Now, one of these lawyers is it's a name that we've all been hearing, and it's Alan Dershowitz. All right. And we got to look into some things. But anyway, in this deal, Epstein agreed that he would plead guilty. And what else? He pleaded guilty to the state charges of soliciting teacup humans, and he served just about 13 months in a private wing in the Palm Beach County Jail. How you, a registered SEX offender for teacup humans, and you end up in a private wing? Not only that, like I told y'all, he had work release privileges, and that let him out 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, you guys. So it's like you spend one whole day in jail. He was on. Do y'all understand what that means? That means that this man was leaving and only going back to the jail to go to sleep. He was back for count in the morning. I mean, at night. He was there for count at night, and then he left in the morning after count. Are you freaking shitting me? Anyway, in return, the government, they said they wouldn't pursue any federal SEX trafficking charges and would grant him immunity grant immunity to specific individuals, which are the names that you guys just heard. And those 4 women, they were definitely described as the potential co-conspirators and would be shielded from prosecution. Ghislaine Maxwell? No, not named in the agreement. And her lawyers later argued that she was implicated and she was supposed to be included as a potential co-conspirator, which, in all honesty, she should have been listed as a potential co-conspirator, but her name was not mentioned. And the DOJ and the court rulings have since rejected that argument, and her name is absent from all versions of the original document. So was the immunity deal nationwide? I just explained to y'all this immunity deal. Oh, the non-prosecution agreement meant that Epstein was not going to be prosecuted in the Southern District of Florida. Now, the immunity deal was also not nationwide, okay? It only applied to the Southern District of Florida, and a specific clause clarified that the agreement did not bind any other federal jurisdictions, including the Southern District of New York. All right. And this territorial limitation is what eventually allowed the Southern District to prosecute Epstein and later Ghislaine. And this is what triggered the dramatic turn in all of these cases. Now, on July 6th of 2019, that's when Jeffrey Epstein was arrested in Teterboro Airport in New Jersey, and he was charged by the Southern District of New York. And we know that. And the reason why the MPA did not help is because the Southern District of New York argued that the crimes occurred outside of Florida and were not part of this agreement, right? And the charges in New York included new victims in conduct. And that gave the prosecutors an open door to be able to go after him. All right. Now, the MPA was never filed in court, and victims were not notified until years later. And that weakened the enforceability because Epstein faced a real trial. But again, as we know, on August 10th of 2019, he was found unalived. Now, Ghislaine, though, she was arrested on July 2nd of 2020 in a secluded mansion in Bradford, New Hampshire. Imagine this. You have done all of these heinous and horrific things to people. You have altered their lives forever, and you're just chilling in a secluded mansion in Bradford, New Hampshire. What? Child. Now, Ghislaine was indicted for grooming and trafficking the teacup humans for Jeffrey Epstein. And the range from when she did this is said to be from 1994 to 2004. And I remember 94 because that's when PJ was born, guys. Now, she was also accused of participating in some of this abuse herself, because maybe if you read through some of these documents, it was said that she was having ORGYs with some of these young teacup humans and Epstein. that she groped some of these teacup humans, that she touched some of these teacup humans inappropriately. All right. Now, during her trial, there were 4 victims that gave powerful testimonies. There was a Jane in her. Somebody testified under the pseudonym Jane. And Jane claimed that she was recruited at 14 years old and said that Maxwell and Epstein included her in group sex acts. Right. Then there was the pseudonym Kate, who described grooming from Maxwell in London. Because remember, they were international with this, all right? And she said that Ghislaine gave her a schoolgirl outfit and scheduled sexual encounters. Are you freaking kidding me? Then Carolyn said that she was abused at 14 and testified that Ghislaine groped her and arranged massages for Epstein. And then Anna Farmer, who's the only one that really used her name, said that Maxwell gave her a topless massage when she was 16. Now, Maxwell's trial, it was in December of 2021, and she had 5 felony convictions, including sex trafficking of teacup humans, conspiracy to entice teacup humans to travel for illicit sex acts, conspiracy, transportation of teacup humans with the intent to engage in criminal sex activity, conspiracy to commit sex trafficking of teacup humans. Now, she was acquitted of 1 charge, and that was 1 count of enticing teacup humans. And June 28th of 2020, she was sentenced to 20 years in federal prison with 5 years of supervised release. And she has to pay a fine of $750,000. Now, the judge that presided over her case was Allison Nathan, and she described Ghislaine's actions as heinous and predatory, emphasizing that she played a critical role in helping Epstein exploit teacup humans. And it said that Ghislaine did not express any remorse during her sentencing. Instead, she claimed that Epstein manipulated everyone around him, including her, but the courts rejected that defense. And so Ghislaine sits at the FCI Tallahassee, which is a low security federal prison in Florida. Now, you want to know what else I came across? There's a young lady by the name of Virginia. I don't know if you guys have heard of her or not, but allegedly one of the Epstein victims, Virginia Guffey. I don't know how you say her last name. Forgive me if I'm saying it wrong. But apparently, she mysteriously turned up unalived by self-deletion. And what makes this so suspicious is with all of this stuff that's going on right now, all of a sudden this girl comes up unalived. And there have been 4 victims that have transitioned. There you go. Under suspicious activities. Now, Henny, why are you bringing this up? Because all of this is connected. Comey is connected to the case that the umbrella, she's the umbrella over all of this information when it comes down to Maxwell and Epstein and all that. She's the one who knew all of this information. So for me, I just feel like if they're trying to bury the Epstein files, one of the best ways to try to bury this information is to get the lead prosecutor who had all of the I'm sorry, this is bothering me. All of the information, who knew this case, who tried this case, who knew the truth about this case, to get them out of office. This was, to me, it was about revenge for her father and the grudge that Trump held against him. This was about covering up, because what y'all got to remember is there are people in high places that are connected to all of this Epstein nastiness. I don't know what else to call it, but that's what they're connected to. And so with that, this is why it's really suspicious. The timing of this is really suspicious. So let me see if I can get, okay. So Virginia Guffey, she passed this year. She was 41 years old, and she was one of the primary accusers, and she became an activist, okay? She moved to Australia. Now, she alleged, that's the one who alleged that she was trafficked by Epstein and Ghislaine, and she was the one who was photographed and said that she was made to pleasure Prince Andrew. Now, Prince Andrew settled with Virginia out of court for an undisclosed amount, but it was for millions. And the foundation that she founded for advocacy was called Speak Out, Reclaim, and it was SOAR for short. Now, recently, her family publicly spoke out and disputed the self-deletion, saying that someone got to her. Okay. Her lawyer countered and said she had been under extreme stress, but that her deletion wasn't suspicious. But the thing is, allegedly, Virginia had said that if she ever was found self-deleted, that she didn't do it herself. So her family is definitely like suspicious of all of this stuff that's going on. And she also had ongoing lawsuits at the time, which she was looking for reputable damages. But I guess she withdrew from Alan Dershowitz. Now, remember, we said Alan Dershowitz. That was Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer. He's also a person of interest in this case. Imagine that. Your lawyer is out here having orgies with you with teacup humans. You're all disgusting. Every last one of you are disgusting. Then there was Carolyn Adreno. I don't know how you say her last name, but she passed away in 2023, and she was found in a Florida hotel room. Now, her cause of deletion was said to be it was an accidental overdosing, but we heard that same thing about Marilyn Monroe, didn't we? You know, accidental overdoses are not above or beneath them. That's just right on kilt with them, right? Now, she was one of the ones who testified against Ghislaine, but she testified under a pseudonym. Now, which pseudonym she testified underneath, I really don't know. But she said that her abuse started at 14, and she played a key role in helping to convict Ghislaine, right? But with her history, she was dealing with a lot of trauma. And so she was found unresponsive in a hotel. It was not ruled a self-deletion, but no public evidence of foul play is what they were saying. But you know, when it's cases like this and people get to deleting, it's always suspect, right? Then in 2017, you had Lee Patrick, and she was found in Florida as well. And her cause of deletion was also an accidental overdosing. Now, her story was less public, but she was one of the survivors from Epstein, and she passed before the Me Too movement and major media coverage of Epstein's case started up. But she struggled with long-term trauma, and who wouldn't when you're dealing with some of the things that they have described that they dealt with? So I don't know, but all of these accidentals. Now, this one right here, this one took me. Now, I don't know how to say her name. I'm going to try. Ruslana Korshanova, I believe was her name. She passed June 28th of 2008 at the age of 20 in Manhattan, okay? And her cause of deletion, she fell from her ninth floor balcony. She fell from 9 stories up. Now, she had visited Little St. James Island in 2006, and this is according to flight records, okay? But never publicly accused him, but she was there. And days before her passing, she posted a message online that said, "I'm so lost. Will I ever find myself? Now, some people felt like this was cryptic and a disturbing message, but her friends claim that she was not one of those people who wanted to self-delete. And she had plans for that weekend. And most people, when they want to self-delete, they don't make plans. Okay. But I don't know. It just, to me, it sounds very suspect. People falling from 9th floor balconies, accidental overdoses, self-deletions. This is like the first wife of Taco slipped down the stairs. Didn't Orange Man wife pass by falling down the stairs? That's what they was just saying. One day, Donald Trump and everyone linked to him is going to be in hot water, literally. Listen, all of this, which one just unalived herself? That would be the Virginia girl. That's the one that just unalived herself. So I went from recent to past. So now, again, Henny, why are we going here? Why are you bringing all of this up and telling us all of this information? Because I want y'all to understand how deep down the rabbit hole this actually goes. Because there are people out here that are celebrating in the streets and saying that Maurene Comey got fired for prosecutorial misconduct when it came down to the Diddy trial. And that is far from the truth. This has absolutely nothing to do with Diddy and everything to do with the bigger picture. Okay. So for all of that, people, put on your critical thinking caps and really look at what's been going on. People have really been. Wait, what? No, Henny, we do make plans to self-delete. It depends on a case by case. No. I wasn't saying make plans to self-delete. I'm saying people don't usually make plans like for the future like that. Be encouraged. You are so correct. You are so correct. Serious question. Do you think Diddy was in competition with Epstein? Why my Siri came on? I don't know if he's in competition with Epstein, but a lot of their stuff kind of paralleled. Hey, boo, what's up? It's done. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Um, I don't think it was so much competition as it was the fact that they were engaging in the same kind of parties. They were engaging in the same kind of activities. Epstein had these high-end exclusive parties where elites and very famous people and people of power and prestige and wealth were there engaging and indulging. And Diddy had the same thing. The problem is when it comes down to Diddy, we've heard about those parties and those parties never came up. So for me, I felt like there's a possibility, and I still kind of feel like there's a possibility that a block is going to be spun when it comes down to Diddy. And I don't give a damn who doesn't like what I just said. You don't like it, take it, ball it up, and shove it all the way up your ass. How about that? Because everybody can speak their mind and have their opinions, except for people who go again. Listen, I feel like this, and I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again in this. As a people, we have not learned our lesson. Okay? We all watched R. Kelly tinkle all over that little girl. And then with her. And when he was acquitted of those charges, people celebrated. You do realize that tape, all of those adults that was watching those tapes, you do realize that is considered teacup human pornography. And you all watched it. And you all seen it. And everybody celebrated and danced. But you see what happened, right? The government spun the block on that earth. And they got him. And the part about all of this that pisses me off the most is that people still act like nothing happened. They want to spin narratives that everybody lied. And you know what's crazy to me? When all of this stuff was going on, and this is going to show you about culture, how we are as a people. When all of this Epstein stuff was coming to the surface and all these people were speaking out, wasn't nobody saying they was lying? Wasn't nobody sitting up here re-victimizing the victims? Wasn't nobody saying that they were complacent, that they wanted it, that they were in it for the money, that they were just a bunch of little gold diggers? Nobody said that. Nobody. But you get to us, and that's what it is. You talk about R. Kelly, and the first thing people say is, where were the parents? No, why are we switching? Why are we taking the focus off of what we're supposed to be focused on? Yeah, where were the parents? Yes, some of those parents did sell their children into freedom and to fame. And they don't deserve their freedom neither. I will say that. But why are we taking the focus off of what we're supposed to be focused on, which is the egregious behavior? See, celebrities keep getting away with stuff because we get so caught up in name and prestige and celebrity instead of the sickness that is being displayed. It's disgusting and deplorable. Epstein did not feel that he was going to have the support and the love and the push for him to be able to get out of that. Now, whether he is truly unalived or if he is over there living on one of his other islands, it still has yet to be discovered. But what I will tell you is there is some information, and I'm going to give y'all in a video about some Epstein stuff that I think we need to spend a block on. But I said all of that to say this. There's a lot of predatory behavior that goes on at higher levels of society. And we as a people really have to stop condoning the egregious acts and the behavior. Because this is a sick society. This is a very disturbed society that we are living in. Now the president is making calls to remove someone, and there hasn't been any scandal or rhyme or reason as to why, except for the fact that now the people are demanding that these Epstein files be released. Nobody is asking to see the teacup human pornography. Nobody wants to see that except for the sickos that rub elbows with other sickos. That's not what we're asking for. But we have a right to know who is living this perverse lifestyle and preying on our teacup humans. And I feel like they get lost in the shuffle. All right. That's what I say about what. Okay. Miss Perry said facts. That's what I say about what. Think about used brown skinned women. This is listen, don't get me started. It's nasty work. It's nasty work how society asks where were the parents first before saying why the person did what they did to kids. Exactly. My point, Ash Renee. Instead of focusing on the task at hand, and they're saying where's the parents, and then they're talking about this person needs to go down. This person needs to be prosecuted. This person shouldn't do. Listen, look at who is on the stand and listen to the story and get your emotions out of it. Because a lot of people like to say when you're passionate about something and when you stand on your square about it, you're emotional. Learn emotional intelligence before you start calling people emotional, because I'm so sick of people saying that. But I'm very passionate about making people pay for the things that they do to teacup humans. I'm very passionate about people having to do time and getting what they're supposed to get when they abuse and actually assault and abuse women, old men. It don't matter. Abuse is abuse is abuse, and we are not brought on the face of this earth to face any type of abuse. That type of stuff alters people mentally, emotionally, and sometimes physically, but most certainly spiritually. Now, this is a cover-up at its finest and at its worst for me. And it's also the grudge, and it's also revenge. And unfortunately, Maurene Comey is the daughter of James Comey, and Trump is out for revenge and blood. He don't want no Comeys in his cabinet working underneath him in the DOJ or anywhere else. So unfortunately, she is considered what they call collateral damage. And so he got rid of her. And Pam Bondi is supposed to be getting a gold star right now because she's the one that put in the call and had Comey fired. But again, like I said, she couldn't have done that without getting a call from the White House to do so. Now, I don't know what this is going to mean for Diddy, because at the end of the day, this isn't a pardon. This is something else. This is most definitely something else. By getting someone into this case, on this case, and into the DOJ that is a Trump ally, we're going to see how this all plays out. And you're going to see if Trump, if that's still his mans in them after all the stuff that Diddy said, and Diddy was trying to get a whole melanated people party going. That was melanated people party only. We're going to see how this plays out. Because if he's still in somewhat good standing, then it would be nothing for a call to be put in to go less, give less, go soft. Now, for those Diddy conspiracy buffs, I do have something for y'all too. Is it possible that phone calls were being made from the House to the DOJ to Maurene Comey, asking her to give leniency to Sean Diddy Combs, and she refused, just like her father refused, and she stood on integrity and stood on business, and because of that, that was one of the determining factors that got her fired. Because what I'm not going to do is sit up here and make it seem like Diddy is that powerful or that connected, that he would take precedent over the president covering his own ass and those around him. But she was not easily shaken or moved like her father. And so Trump said, Bondi, you need a life. Let me throw you a life raft. Here you go. Fire Comey. The MAGAs will love you. But Trump has even been degrading his campaign, his people, his supporters. Calling them idiots. Matter of fact, let me play that for y'all real quick. Because when I seen that, I said, oh, you don't realize your own fan base turning against you is going to be your supporters. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Trump calls MAGA idiots. And we are not going to be using Fox News, just so you guys know. And if you know why. No Fox News. So let's get this in here. Let me get my screen, how I like my screen. And put this like this. And let's hear what MSNBC got to say.
NBC's Ryan Nobles, who's on Capitol Hill, also with me, MSNBC political analyst and former Florida Republican.
Do you see the title at the bottom, though? Trump slams uproar over Epstein files as hoax by Dems. The Democrats ain't do this, sir. This was your people's. Hey, Kai. This was your people. Or Key, I'm sorry.
Congressman Carlos Curbelo. Sam Stein is managing editor at The Bulwark and an MSNBC contributor. So, Congressman, look, it's one thing for the president to push back on his supporters. It's another thing to essentially disown them.
Right.
What's your reaction to this?
What is it?
Yeah, this is pretty significant for a base that has been very unified. Of course, the Republican Party hasn't always been unified behind Donald Trump, but his base has really spoken and acted in unison with a lot of issues, especially these kinds of conspiracy type issues. So this is definitely an interesting moment, a unique moment as we think back at the MAGA movement, which is now about 10 years old, there's a clear break here. The president wants this issue to go away, Chris, but it really doesn't seem like the issue is going to go away at all.
Why does he want it to go away so bad? Is it because he and Melania were hobnobbing with Epstein and Ghislaine?
See that there are Republican lawmakers, especially in the House, that are pushing Speaker Mike Johnson to speak out, to demand more information.
I don't know if it's just me, but I want to take a look at this picture right here real quick. It looked like Melania liked Trump back then. I know y'all seen them compilation videos of him reaching for her hand and her doing this. She don't like him. She don't like him. This had to have been when she first came here.
Information. So I think that until the Attorney General comes out and makes some definitive statements, answers questions, this is just going to continue boiling.
And we don't see any indication that she's planning to do that, Sam, although we just heard in the Oval Office the president speaking well of Pam Bondi again. But do you think he really doesn't care if he gets these folks back? Former supporters?
No, it's very abnormal to hear Donald Trump say he doesn't care about his base. In fact, his entire career politically has been him tending to his base, has been him stoking a lot of these conspiracies.
And that's true. Because remember, I told you guys that, well, y'all should have seen this already too. Him and his base have been the ones who have been pushing a lot of these conspiracy theories about this Epstein thing. And now all of a sudden, you've pumped them up full of these conspiracy theories. You made all of these promises and they believed you. And now you saying, I don't care. I'm in office. You better be careful of this man, Donald Trump, because I'm going to say this. He's the type to sign an executive order to extend himself as president, try to push past it, or get somebody else that's in his family to get into that Oval so that he can continue to run the country behind the scenes. Can a president run as vice president? Let's see. I don't think they can. Can a former president run as vice president if he's done 8 terms? 8 years? Let's see. Yes, a former president who has already served 2 terms, 8 years, can run for and be elected as vice president. The 22nd Amendment to the United States Constitution limits the number of times a person can be elected as president, not as vice president. Additionally, the 12th Amendment, while stating that a person constitutionally ineligible to be president is also ineligible to be vice president, it doesn't explicitly bar 2-term presidents from being a vice president. You better watch him. You better watch him. Hold on, I got another one. Unlike the president of the United States, there is no term limits for the vice president of the United States. Only a president can serve 2 terms, but a vice president does not have that 2-term thing on him. If Trump runs for vice president, whoever is president better protect their neck, because that man is going to come for you, because then he would automatically become the president if he's the vice president. But I wonder if that's how that works. I don't know. Did they get into what he said? Oh, yeah, there it is right there. Let's see. I really just wanted to hear this part.
Positions of power, right? Kash Patel, Dan Bongino, who are involved in handling this case as director and deputy director of the FBI. They are on camera. We've seen them with our own eyes, pushing the Epstein conspiracy.
Uncovering all of these conspiracies, to putting the truth out there.
They're not playing it. And that's what I want to see. I want to see the actual video. That's okay. It's a little late anyway. It's 11 o'clock. And I told y'all that I was only going to be, from 10 o'clock to 11. It would only be an hour-long program that we do. But now I'm going to tell you all this. Please make sure that you are following me on IG, on both of my IG accounts, That Girl Henny Reviews and official That Girl Henny, because if I'm not live at 10 here, I'll be live at 10 there. And then I will be clipping up that video and posting clips from the video here and making the full IG live available to the members only. Okay. We got you for 4 hours tomorrow morning though, right? No. Why would I stay live for 4 hours, you guys? That's crazy. Now, on here, you might be able to get me for a couple of hours, but we got to see, because I have a lot more information that I need to give y'all. She said, what the hell? I have a lot more information that I have to give you guys. I already gave you the Ghislaine Maxwell. I have to bring y'all the Idaho 4, the next installment of that. I have to update you guys on the Alexander brothers, because there's been stuff that's happened. Plus, I have to introduce you to them. So that's going to be going down. And let's see, what else? Troy Ave. I thought you said 4 hours, Henny. I said that the live, I can do 4-hour lives on IG. I can do 8-hour lives over here. That's what y'all want, ain't it? Y'all want me to go live for 8 hours with y'all. Oh, this live is going to be here. I absolutely agree with you. Please share this live. I'm also going to try to clip this live up so that some people can... She said 8. What am I going to talk about for 8 hours, you guys? What we going to do? Just scroll through the internet and talk about stuff for 8 hours? Because y'all ain't finna sit back and watch a whole 8-hour video if you've missed it. Right, you feel me, Star? She said 4 hours this morning. Thank you so much. Be encouraged. I appreciate you. Maritza, oh my goodness. I just looked at your name. Hey, boo. Yeah, so we're working on our numbers. I don't know. I got to see if I could come up with an 8-hour live, because I've been having a hard time just getting on live and putting content up, honestly. But once I'm up here and I'm doing it, I don't have an issue with it. You found me. You found where I'll be hiding at. Yes, I'm tired, boss. I'm about to leave. I'm about to go lay down. Okay, I'm about to go take my shower and go lay down. I did good. I gave y'all 10 o'clock. Well, it was 11 o'clock on IG today. And I gave y'all 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm working my way to getting to the 10 and 10. But now y'all talking about 8 hours live. Shit. That means if I go 8 hours live one day, you ain't getting a live the next day. Because I'm going to be busy chopping up that live. Just so y'all know. But anyway, I'll see what I can do. I ain't making no guarantees on nothing, but y'all talking about an 8-hour live. That might just be the thing that I need to be doing in order to get my channel back to what it be at. Because look at these numbers, y'all. Y'all know this ain't even how our numbers be. YouTube is playing with me. You know, we usually have about 200, 300, 400, 100 people in here. Anyway, that's what you get going vertical live, Henny. But anyway, I hope that this was informative to you guys and it painted the picture for you for why Maurene Comey was actually terminated. And it has nothing to do with Diddy. So don't believe the hype. If anybody is out here telling you that, don't believe the damn hype, because that ain't what it's about. This is bigger than Diddy, okay? This is way bigger than Diddy. But anyway, remember that love is always love, y'all. And when y'all rest well. And I will see y'all in the next video. I love y'all. Peace, everybody.